Since the dawn of civilization, humanity has looked up at the night sky and wondered, what was it that was up there? What was it they were looking at on every clear night when they looked up? Were they messages to us? Were they gods? Or could these tiny dots in the sky be something far more spectacular and mysterious? In the last 400 years, we as a species have been developing technologies that have allowed us to finally answer these questions. We know what it is we are looking at when we look up now. Other worlds with their own unique landscapes and wonders. Suns just like ours that could have worlds just like ours. Entire galaxies that are just a tiny, tiny smudge when we look up at them from where we are. We know all this thanks to the telescope. The telescope was invented 400 years ago by Hans Lippershey. However, the first person to use a telescope to observe the night sky was Galileo Galilei, who is often credited as the father of modern astronomy. Galileo used his telescope, which he built, to discover the four largest moons of Jupiter: Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto. The discovery of these four new worlds was revolutionary in the world of astronomy, as this was the first time a world had been seen orbiting another world. This discovery was what made us realise that we are in fact not the centre of the universe, which begged the question, how small, how insignificant are we in the grand scale of things? To help me understand how other people see this, I interviewed fellow Bracknell Wickham College student Daniel Fox. So what do you find most interesting about space?
What I find most interesting is how it's essentially unlimited potential. You know, we're constantly discovering new things, which is something you really can't do in other places of science.
How do you get interested in the topic?
I was interested from a very young age when my mum got a documentary of the solar system for me, and I've just been very intrigued with it ever since.
What do you think the future of space telescopes will look like?
I think it has a very promising future. I think the best place would be on like a planet with no atmosphere, you know, like a telescope on the far side of the moon.
Do you think we will ever find another intelligent civilization, so aliens?
Yeah, I think we'll find them. Whether we can communicate with them is debatable, but I think we will find them eventually.
Yeah. What's your opinion on space exploration as a whole?
I think it's very important to humanity because it can allow us to survive as a species, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. If we made colonies on Mars, that would allow us to survive.
Yeah.
And final question.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on NASA's development over the past few years?
It's been very interesting over the past few years. For example, the James Webb Space Telescope. I think you've heard of it.
Oh yes.
It's going to let us analyse the atmospheres of exoplanets, which is going to be very interesting.
So, if we can analyse the atmosphere, would that mean that we could find the first signs of life beyond Earth?
Yeah, because we could detect oxygen in the atmospheres, which would indicate life. We can also detect other chemicals, which would indicate the burning of fossil fuels.
So we could detect carbon emissions?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Over the centuries following the invention of the telescope, we made many more discoveries other than the Jovian moons. We discovered even more worlds, such as the ice giants Uranus and Neptune, alongside their moons. We discovered the moons around Saturn and the dwarf planet Pluto teetering at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. We mapped the stars and our understanding of the universe grew. We discovered our galaxy as one of many. we realised we are not the centre of the universe. This stunning revelation raised one big question for us. Are we alone?
We're T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We have to go for radio start. 2, 1, 0. Booster ignition and liftoff.
This is Mission Control Houston. Endeavour's roll maneuver is complete.
This is one of many questions that the Hubble Space Telescope set out to answer. The first in a new generation of space telescopes. The idea of placing observatories in space was being thrown around since 1946, which eventually led to the development of the Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble had a bumpy beginning, having an issue with the placement of its primary mirror resulting in images it took being blurry. However, following a correction mission in 1993, the images it sent back to us were breathtaking. Never before had we seen a universe in such great detail. It was also around this time that ground observatories found the first signs of planets beyond our solar system. The discovery of what we now refer to as exoplanets was a huge step in the world of astronomy, as it was a step further towards finally finding life beyond Earth. Following this discovery, the development of planet-hunting telescopes such as the Kepler Space Telescope began. These telescopes would use multiple methods to help them detect exoplanets, with the most planets being discovered using the transit method, which is where a telescope will watch a star to see if its light will dim when a potential planet crosses its axis. In 2004, development on a successor to Hubble began, a telescope so powerful it would be able to read the chemical compositions of the atmospheres of planets that are thousands of light years away. Launched on Christmas Day 2021, the James Webb Space Telescope is the true successor to the popular Hubble Space Telescope. As of the making of this documentary, the James Webb Space Telescope is hurtling across the void, on a mission to understand our universe and help us find our place in it, and maybe begin to answer the big question: who else is out there? For me, I believe that somewhere out there in the darkness there is someone else who is asking the same questions as us, and maybe one day we will find them, thanks to the amazing piece of technology that is the telescope.